Today, we're exploring a topic that goes far beyond simply drinking more water, which we all know that we need to stay hydrated. We're talking about hydration at the cellular level, oxidative stress, inflammation, recovery, and the growing conversation around molecular hydrogen therapy. Joining us today is Dr. Paul Barattiero, founder of Echo Water and longtime educator in the wellness and performance space. His work focuses on helping people better understand how cellular health impacts energy and recovery and overall resilience. Welcome back to Autoimmune Adventures. We're so glad you're joining us today. Let's get started. We're very happy to have you here, Paul.
Honored to be with you.
So, for listeners who are brand new to this conversation, what exactly is molecular hydrogen water and what makes it different from regular hydration?
Excellent question. And that really is the perfect place to start, because people are very confused, right? When you say hydrogen water, they're like, that's a scam, or that's this, or that's that, because isn't hydrogen already in water, right? We hear that a lot. And the answer is no, hydrogen is not in water, because hydrogen is a gas. When you combine hydrogen and oxygen, H2O, it forms a liquid. They're no longer gases. We're not breathing water in. We are drinking water because it's a liquid. So we actually do not have hydrogen. We have a new substance called water. And the constituent elements are hydrogen and oxygen, but they're no longer functioning like hydrogen and oxygen. They are water. And so what our bodies need is hydrogen gas. And we'll get into that in a second, but that's what hydrogen water means. Molecular hydrogen means you just have hydrogen, two hydrogen atoms together, H2 gas. But hydrogen water simply means that you have dissolved hydrogen gas, H2, into H2O liquid. And that's all hydrogen water means. That doesn't change the pH. It doesn't change any property other than you have hydrogen gas dissolved in the water, which you could test with gas chromatography. And then you will always have a negative ORP, which stands for oxidation reduction potential. That's what you got.
So right. What you're saying is that the gas remains suspended within the water.
Yeah, it's peroxide is a liquid as well, right? So right. Yeah, so there is H2O water liquid with H2 gas dissolved riding along. So water becomes a vehicle to getting that gas into the body, much like Perrier or other things are water with carbon dioxide in it. The carbon dioxide doesn't form a new molecule with the water. It's just gas sitting there riding along, and it's the same as hydrogen. Hydrogen is not forming a new product or thing or bonding somehow to the water molecules. There's no bonding going on. It's just gas in water. And
thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's what we actually need, because we have a lot of hydrogen in the body bound to proteins and carbohydrates and all kinds of things. We don't need that because we can't access that. We need free and available hydrogen gas, H2. That's critical to the proper function of the body.
So does it affect how the water tastes or the mouthfeel or anything like that? You would never know any different?
You would never know any different if you didn't know. It's slightly softer to the palate. That's called osmolarity. The mouth likes it because it's a little bit softer, but there's no like carbonation type feel. There's none of that. It's just water that has gas riding along that your body's loving. And what will happen is For people that have oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, autoimmune, digestion disorders, gut issues, any of these kind of things, your body will know that there's hydrogen gas in that water, and it will take that water and crave it and grab it and want it if you don't have proper hydrogen. So what does that really mean? Our bodies are designed to make hydrogen gas. The creator, the grand engineer that put our bodies into motion, put a hydrogen generator in us. And people don't really understand that the colon is really a hydrogen ecosystem. Have you ever heard of this before, right? Like, nobody knows this. I just gave a TED talk, and this was my whole topic, was the fact that our colon is a hydrogen ecosystem. The entire colon is designed to not only produce hydrogen, but then to utilize hydrogen. There are hydrogen trophs, for example, there's certain bacteria in our intestinal tract that take hydrogen. It becomes their energy source, and then they do all kinds of great things in the body. But when we ferment foods, which is really, again, most people have no clue how food goes in your stomach and how it comes out as fecal matter. But the reality is there's a fermentation process. And in that fermentation process, just like a car has a tailpipe, we have a tailpipe, and stuff's coming out the tailpipe. When we convert fuel into energy, we have processes and byproducts. With a car, we have carbon monoxide. In the body, we have hydrogen and methane that's coming out. And so we are hydrogen production facility. We got it downstairs in our body. And if, this is the problem though, if and only if our gut is functioning properly, do we properly, perfectly, efficiently produce hydrogen gas? If we do produce hydrogen gas properly, perfectly, wonderful, we wouldn't have the disease models that we have. We wouldn't have the low energy. We wouldn't be tired all the time. We wouldn't be getting gray hair early in life. We wouldn't be getting all these kind of things because hydrogen would protect against that. But I don't know how true this is, but it's estimated that 90% of the population of the United States of America have gut dysfunction.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that 100%. You're blowing my mind right now. The three of us, we all have celiac disease. We have a pretty darn good understanding of our gut and our gut microbiome. I have never heard of the colon being a hydrogen machine. Like I've got to go deep dive into this after the interview because I'm like, what? How did I not know this? I got to go learn some more.
When I became a naturopathic doctor, I did my dissertation on this years ago. I did my entire dissertation on the fact that we produce hydrogen and why. Well, what's the down chain mechanisms? What's the up chain? All the things. And if you really start to do, I'm so excited, Alysia, that you're going to do that because your mind's gonna. You think your mind is going to be blown during this time you're spending with me. Just wait until you get deep into it, and you're going to start to understand that literally hydrogen prevents disease and keeps us from dying prematurely, aging gracefully instead of aging horribly like most people are doing. It stops all of our joint pain. It stops all of our issues with eyesight, with everything, with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. I mean, on and on it goes. As you go down this rabbit hole, we'll be talking a lot. And I'm excited for you because what I need help with is educating people, because the public doesn't know that they have gut issues all the time. Some people just think they have diarrhea when they eat a salad, right?
I was going to say, most people just learn to live with those symptoms and don't think anything of it. They just think that's regular life.
Right. So they stop eating salads and they eat rice because it's going to bind up a little bit. So the point that I'm making is people have adapted to the fact that their body is messed up
Yeah.
and not functioning at all the way it's supposed to.
And I have
And it would
a
be
lot
the
of,
same. It would be the same if we had a car with a messed up spark plug. People would stop driving up hills. They would start only going down hills. They would stop taking as many people in the car. Yeah, I mean, you would start having all these adaptations that we do for our body. We would do the same thing because we just didn't replace the spark plug that was disconnected or putting new spark plugs in. That's the kind of thing that's happening in the body, is we're
so,
adapting, but there's no need to.
so let me rewind a little bit. You were talking about oxidative stress, and that's a phrase that I'm hearing more and more in wellness spaces, but I don't think people actually know what that is. Can you break that down for our audience in a practical way?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep this real simple instead of going science-y, right? Here's the reality. Oxidation is normal and natural. And that keeps us alive. We need opposition in all things. So you have oxidation and you have reduction. Two powers in the body. And what makes up water? Oxygen, which is an oxidizer, hydrogen, which is a reducer. Those form a water molecule, but those are your two forces in the body. When you separate them as a gas, you have oxidation and reduction in those two elemental gases. Oxygen is an oxidizer, hydrogen is a reducer of oxidation. That is how you keep what we call homeostasis. The reality is we need both, but what we do not need is the reduction to be taken away, because then we have oxidation, oxidative stress. And once we get to oxidative stress, that means our cells aren't functioning properly. We have a decline of function. And once this happens, then the body goes, oh crap, inflammation. I need an inflammatory response. And that's temporary. We got to fix this over here. But if this oxidation isn't fixed and we now have oxidative stress and it continues to rise or becomes normal, well, then so does the inflammation, because you got to always have the fixer there. Now you have oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. And those two things cause disease. So that's your pathway to disease. You have radicals that are all involved in here, but really it's reactive oxygen species of radicals, because people always hear about radicals, but most radicals are life-sustaining. I didn't know if you guys understood that, but most radicals are good for us. It's only the reactive oxygen species, like hydroxyl radicals, superoxide, things like this that are really harmful to us. Most radicals are providing what's necessary to live. What's really interesting, and the reason why hydrogen it is becoming very popular, is because Nature Medicine published a study in 2009 showing that hydrogen was a selective antioxidant. And this was a very new term in 2009 because no one ever heard of anything being selective from an antioxidant perspective. Most antioxidants are simply an electron donor. And when they donate their electron, they become a pro-oxidant themselves. And that's a problem for the body, because now you got to take care of that. You fixed a problem over here and you created another one over here. Hydrogen is an electron donor. It's a signal modulator. And so hydrogen only goes after the bad radicals. It doesn't touch the good radicals. And that's the only one that's like that. So again, the creator, the amazing individual that knows all things, knew that. It's not his first rodeo. We have a hydrogen generator because it is critical to the proper function of our body. We have to have a selective antioxidant that's only getting rid of the bad stuff. We have to have something that keeps our ATP production or our mitochondrial production at peak. And that's what hydrogen does. Because hydroxyl radicals get into the mitochondria and stop ATP production. Understand, the most cytotoxic or cell damaging radical in the human body that does more damage than anything else is a hydrogen and an oxygen. That's it. It's neutral. So long story short, I would say to you that HO, what does that sound really interesting or similar to?
It's so close to what water is, what gives us life. We're so much water, and water gives us life. But if it's not combined in the way that our body recognizes and understands, it becomes toxic. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, so HO, what if we just add another hydrogen to it? What do we have?
More water.
Right. So imagine the organic chemistry that is. You can go from HO, which is the most cell damaging radical in the human body, to water simply by adding one hydrogen molecule.
You're blowing my mind right now. This is blowing my mind right now.
And so by adding even more hydrogen in, we are counteracting the problem even further, which is brilliant. When you were talking about it being reduction, that's what blew my mind. I was like, well, that makes sense that would help reduce inflammation, that would help reduce disease, because that's the very nature of what hydrogen is intended to be.
Correct.
So anybody that's familiar with like autoimmune disease, chronic illness community, one of the biggest common denominators that everybody has is exhaustion that doesn't improve with sleep or rest. And obviously we know that cellular health is probably going to impact that too. And I mean, is there anything else you'd like to speak to? It sounds like, just listening to it, like you said, you're basically hydrating and healing your cells. So
Yeah, understand that the body's doing all it can to fix stuff. The body's trying to do what it's supposed to do to help itself. But because you didn't fix the root problem, now, you didn't know what the root problem was. You didn't know eating foods with chemicals in them could harm the bacteria in your gut or the microflora in your gut. So now you have no ability to properly respond to oxidation and inflammation in the body. So you just live with those things now, and you live with pain, and you live with a foggy brain, and you live with no energy and having fatigue all the time. And disease models and all kinds of things that are just happening. And people say, oh, it's old age. And yet you can go to parts of the world today where there are over 100 living perfectly fine, growing their own food, not having chemicals coming into their body, working their own gardens and doing their own thing in Venezuela and other places where it's largely an agrarian society. And you go to the hospitals there, and there's no cancer patients. There's nobody with debilitating diseases, and there's no gut issues. And so when I did my dissertation on aging, instead of doing what most people do and listen to the nonsense online, I went and studied centenarians. Like, if I'm going to actually friggin' talk about somebody and how to live a long time, let's actually study some people that are doing it. I'm not going to go talk to somebody who has a great idea or wants to sell me something about how to live forever. I want to go and study someone, whatever I can find out about them, that did live past 100. Like, what are they doing different? And when I did the research and looked at the studies that others had done on the 4,000 centenarians that I could get data on, there was no diet. There was no religion. There was no special silver bullet that someone was doing. The only thing I could find was 5 things that were the same in their lives. First of all, and most important, they had their gut bacteria was intact. The gut environment was intact. And what does that really mean? This is the real problem. We talk about gut issues. You could probably find 150 podcasts by simply typing into Google, I would like to listen to a podcast about gut issues. You could find hundreds of them. And after listening to them all, you would have no idea what's really wrong. And if you don't know what's wrong, how on earth will you fix it? If we're just talking about gut issues and our answer is take probiotics, this is lunacy. Because
we know.
probiotics, huh?
I said, we know. We've
I'm
tried
like,
all the things between the
Yeah.
3 of us. We've tried all the things.
And
Well,
I found
probi-
everything is like almost a short-term fix. It helps,
Oh, it's
and
a
then it
Band-Aid.
doesn't help.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's because it's all a Band-Aid. You know, you got to take the knife away at some point. You keep just cutting yourself, the Band-Aid's fine. You're just going to go through Band-Aids and the Band-Aid company's going to love it. But you're not actually ever going to stop bleeding because you're re-injuring, right? So the point, and I know that's oversimplified, but the point is, what does it mean when we say someone has a gut issue or gut dysfunction? That would be the proper term, gut dysfunction, because you can, it's on a scale. Like maybe this person has 10% guts, maybe this person's 50%, maybe this person has no gut function at all. It's dysfunctioning, but the word dysfunction can mean 10% or 90% or 100%. But what's really wrong? If someone was to ask one of you, my doctor just told me I have gut issues. Well, what's actually going on? What is wrong? What would you say?
Oh,
I don't know what I would say, and this is why. Because it could be any number of things. I don't know what the doctor means when they say gut issues. Are we talking IBS? Are we talking about your flora is completely shot? I mean, what are we talking about? I would have to be like, I'm really sorry to hear that. I think that you need to start seeking ways to naturally increase what should be in your gut through food and healthy choices. But that's about the best that I could do. So please give us more that we can tell people.
I was going to say, it's a hard thing because there is so much science that goes into the explanation. You lose people real quick when you try to explain. I mean, even trying to explain what celiac disease is to somebody, they're yawning before you even get
Yeah, the
10
eyes
seconds
glaze
into
over.
the explanation. Yes, their
Well-
eyes glaze over. So for us who already have learned and continue to learn about all that happens in your gut,
Yeah.
this is why we're having you on. People don't know this stuff. People don't know this stuff, and their doctors weren't trained in this stuff. I can't even tell you how many doctors I have seen who had no knowledge to talk to me about what leaky gut even meant. And leaky gut is a pretty generic term. It's a generic term. It's a terrible term, really. But
Yeah.
they didn't even know what they like. Nothing. They nothing.
But this is medicine. Nobody really has a clue. And yet they regurgitate the false information like it's real. And so nobody knows what to do. I can explain what gut dysfunction is in 15 seconds. And it's so simple. And I can fix it in 2 weeks. And this is the whole point. If you can articulate a problem, we can fix it. I mean, that's life. We just have to articulate the problem. If we have a moving,
articulate it. I would
In
love your
15
15 seconds.
Yeah,
well,
let's hear it.
here's the reality. if someone says you have a gut issue, it means you have a bacterial issue. That's it. It's really simple. What the gut or intestinal tract is basically two different, well, I'm going to oversimplify this, but two basic types of bacteria, aerobic and anaerobic. Okay. And you should only have 1 to 4% aerobic bacteria. You should have 91 to 96% should be anaerobic. But those bacteria require a very specific environment to live and thrive, and that is an electrical environment. They need the electrical potential of the tissue. For example, anaerobic wants a negative electrical potential around 300 millivolts to 400 millivolts. Aerobic wants a positive electrical potential. So therein is two different biomes mixed within each other. Again, opposition. Both are there, but we need a small amount of aerobic bacteria and a very large amount of anaerobic. What's interesting is one round of antibiotics will change the polarity of the tissue in the gut. So if we change the polarity of the tissue or glyphosate or anything, if we change the polarity, then what have we just done? We've changed the terrain that these bacteria or microflora are supposed to be living in. And they're like, well, you just burned down my house. I got nowhere to live. In fact, I'm probably not going to live very long. So see ya. And then the other people are like, well, you made this environment perfect for me, so I'll move in. The problem is, if we get too much aerobic bacteria, what are the 4 things that happen? Number 1, we want to eat carbs and sugar because that's what aerobic bacteria are good at. What?
Eating,
Correct.
fermenting.
That's their food.
Mhm.
And we will naturally have anxiety and depression because aerobic bacteria, that's its deal. And so next thing you know, we are craving sugar and carbs, not short chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids, fiber, beneficial fibers, which is what anaerobic like. But we don't have much anaerobic. So this is why when people try to eat healthy, they have diarrhea. You have no bacteria to process fiber. So it comes out like water because you never turned it into a solid because the chemistry isn't there. So how do we fix that? How do we fix that issue? Is it going to be just eating more salads and having more diarrhea? That's what people try. But that's unenjoyable. And we have a lot of terms for what that is. It's hell. But that's gut issues, right? Like you go to a mono diet. But literally, hydrogen water from Echo Water, not other products. Please understand, when I talk about hydrogen water, and anything I say to you is only about Echo Water because 99% of the other products on the market are scam products and they're never going to do what I'm teaching you about right now. But ours will. In other words, this Echo Flask, right? The amazing product that it is. This can greatly or fully repair or rehab a gut in 2 weeks. Now, what if we did it naturally with food? What if we just said, oh, I'm going to keep eating salads even though I have diarrhea? How long would it take to fix the gut simply by eating food? Any ideas?
A long time.
We've all tried that. It's
Yeah.
long, it's exhausting.
It feels
is.
like as you're getting closer, something happens, like you said, whether it's antibiotics
Boom.
or whatever, you eat
There you
something or
go.
do something and you never quite make it there.
Becky, ding, ding, ding,
Yep.
winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's what they say. So here's the deal. It's 2 years. And the
Wow.
problem is, are you going to get sick? I sure hope so in 2 years. Otherwise, something's really wrong with your immune system. If you don't get sick annually, something's wrong. Like those things are going in and not being pushed back out. They're not being fought. And so please understand that 2 weeks, we can fix somebody. Remember, I talked about the electrical potential is what the bacteria actually needs. So this has water that is a negative 400 millivolts of electrical potential. So now you're bathing the intestinal tract in the electrical potential that the bacteria you want to be there need. So you're building their house back.
So that when
The-
you put things into your body that have the right material, it has a home to go to.
Yes, and let me use an example so that we can visualize this. How many of you have seen an aquarium?
I think all of us have.
How many times have you seen algae get in an aquarium? Like everyone,
A
right?
lot.
All the
Where
time.
where does it come from? Like where did you put algae in there? We've been brainwashed into symptomology. And it doesn't matter if it's allopathic medicine or natural medicine. We've been told everything's separate and who knows how you get stuff. So if you got this issue, you take this drug, or if you're natural, you take this supplement. All the while, never paying attention to what's really wrong and fixing the source problem. Same thing people do in an aquarium. Algae appears, and what do? Clean the algae. But does that fix the problem? The algae will keep coming back because the water is not balanced. There's too many nitrates. There's poop in the water. And until you vacuum out the poops from the rock, the water's out of balance. I'm trying to help people understand about an environment versus thinking in separates, because biology isn't separate. This is what we've got to understand in medicine. The environment has everything good and bad. And whatever we feed grows. Whatever's needed grows. So understand, just like the aquarium, the water is the environment. If we keep that water balanced, that aquarium is perfectly clean all the time because the environment is clean. The fish are healthy. Their fins are flowy, going all over. The second we start getting algae is because it's a sign that the environment is not correct.
So
That
can
environment is for algae now.
I
until-
clarify?
Yeah.
When your comparison here, if I'm getting it correct, is the inside of aquarium in a comparison to the inside of our body or our gut microbiome
Yes.
specifically?
Well, we have multiple environments in our body, and we're talking about the gut today because that's
Okay.
that's
Okay. I
the
wanted to
issue
make sure but you're right. Like we get treated as systems, as parts, especially when you have autoimmune disease and you have multiple autoimmune disease. You have this doctor treating this part, this doctor treating this part, this doctor treating this part,
I know
and nobody's looking at you as a whole.
we need to look at the gut. That's where 70% of your immune function houses the bacteria in the gut. So what we really need to explore is gut dysfunction means the environment is wrong. Therefore, the bacteria are wrong because the right bacteria cannot live there. Okay? All we need to do is change the environment. Just like an aquarium, we clean the water, fish are fine again, algae goes away because we balanced the environment. If we balance the environment of the gut, we don't need all the supplements. We don't need all the crap that people are buying. that is just expensive pee. We need to eat a whole food diet. We need to have some friggin' ice cream too. When it's time to celebrate, grab a little sugar. There's no problem. But we need to remember 91 to 96% of our gut likes fiber and fatty acids. So 91 and 96% of our diet should be fiber and fatty acids. Only 1 to 4% should be treats.
That's a pretty good way of doing it. Can I ask a quick question about
Yeah.
so you were showing us your hydrogenated bottle flask and how
Yeah.
can you just give our listeners a quick demo on how it works?
Well, yeah, it's real simple. Okay, we put water in there in the top, right? So we're putting water in here. We close the lid. On the side of this very sexy flask is a touchscreen. We just slide it up and touch it. You end up starting a 10-minute cycle. If we look at what's going on, do you see all those amazing bubbles? Now, don't be tricked. All the scam bottles will have bubbles coming up too, but the problem is they're chlorine and hypochlorous acid and oxygen and very little hydrogen. In this bottle, the Echo, anything Echo branded, you only have hydrogen gas going in. This blue dot right here is where the O2, O3, and Cl2 are coming out of the water. So we have a patented bottle where you are creating the hydrogen gas, all those little bubbles. And what's happening is this is now being pressurized to 64 psi during a 10-minute cycle. And we'll let that run for a minute. But when we're done, we will have over 6 parts per million of hydrogen gas. Half a part per million is considered therapeutics. You're getting 12 times what's considered. So you have all kinds of hydrogen to come in the body to modulate pathways. If you don't have hydrogen, what else can't you make in the body that's really basic? Stomach acid. Like what's stomach acid? HCl. If you don't have the H, how are you going to make HCl? So people are taking HCl tablets to be able to make stomach acid.
You keep blowing my mind. It's like, this makes so much sense to me. Years of learning about this stuff, and I am dumbfounded that not a single gastroenterologist I have talked to has had the foggiest clue of what you are explaining to us.
Right.
You're blowing my mind right now.
So thank you. The reality is what? We are hydrogen deficient. Because we wiped out the hydrogen generator that God put in there, and I'm just going to say because I love him, God put in there. And the reality is, whatever God people believe in, he did it or she did it. Whatever you believe, they did it. So I believe it's a Father who loves us very much. And it's sad that we're going through unnecessary disease models and pain and everything else. And this all started for me when? 20 years ago. In November of 2005, my wife was so bad off. She wouldn't be with me today, 32 years later of marriage. I was 31 years old, married 10 years, and really concerned about losing my wife. She is my queen. Oh my gosh, the greatest blessing God's ever given me. And I was like, I don't want to be a widow at 31 or 35, And I was like, she is not doing well. She's bedbound a week out of every month. And it's like, she's anemic. She faints randomly, right? Like it's bad. And so I was praying, I was asking, what can I do? And I ended up figuring out and ended up accidentally fixing her with water that had ORP, the oxidation reduction potential. It fixed her gut enough within a couple days to where, oh my gosh, she was feeling better. And then over 6 months, we normalized her menstrual cycle. We got the anemia gone. We got the hemoglobins and hematocrit, proper. And we used to mess with the gynecologist because they were telling my wife, your iron levels are so low, you should not physically be able to get out of bed. And yet here you are in my office. And if I was to look at you, I would say you look at the epitome of health. And he goes, what's going on? Your iron is so low. You shouldn't be able to physically be able to move. What's going on? Oh, my husband gives me this water. My husband and he goes, whatever. I don't believe it. Iron levels were not in the toilet. They were extremely low. Okay. Next thing you know, I tell her, you're supposed to go do the test fasting. Just drink some of the water when you leave the house, which gives you 15 minutes before you get to their office. And then you'll be sitting there for 10 or so minutes. So you're about 22 to 25 minutes before they're going to take blood. Drink 20 ounces of water and then go. So she does that. They get the blood test and they call her, hey, we need to review your results. They're like, your iron is in a perfect range. It was perfect. Well, what are you doing? Nothing. What? How could it go from lower than the chart is to perfect? Well, I told you, my husband's giving me this water. Oh, whatever. I don't know what happened, but it's great. Next month, I tell her, don't drink the water. Go and get the blood test. Iron is down, horribly low again. Like, oh my gosh, what happened? And the doctor came into her and said, tell your husband I'd like to meet with him. I believe what he's doing, because he goes, it's impossible for iron levels to swing this far, this fast every month. You can't go from the lowest to the highest to the lowest. He goes, it's not the way biology works. It's just not, we don't understand it, but it's not possible. So I came in and I told him, hey, we're managing hemoglobins and hematocrit, and hydrogen does that. Hydrogen modulates all of this. You're taking a blood test and you're showing markers, but hydrogen is affecting all that. And I said, as long as she drinks the water, her iron's going to be perfect. It's all going to be good. He's like, wow, I've never heard of this. He starts doing studies and it's like, wow, and you got to keep in mind, this was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. And hydrogen was not known. Everyone said, you're an idiot. It's alkaline water. I'm like, no, it's not alkaline. Alkaline, is using traditional electrolysis. And if you keep the electrodes clean, yes, you can produce hydrogen gas. But as soon as you get calcium buildup on the electrodes, those hydrogen bubbles coalesce, get together and get too big to be dissolved. And so it goes out to atmosphere again. I said, the device is the problem. I'm going to create a device that will keep the hydrogen in the water, because that's what really helped my queen. And there's got to be a lot of other husbands that like their wives and don't want them to pass away. Okay. I'm serving them. My journey started helping the love of my life. And now it's millions of people that we're helping. Like, Zac Efron. You guys have heard of Zac Efron, right? He's great. Dr. Pompa introduced me to him because he had gut issues. Imagine someone who is a beautiful specimen of a man, right? Very good looking, wealthy, talented. He could only eat 10 foods. He had gut issues and had for 10 years. And Dr. Pompa told him, hey, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Paul. He'll help your gut. And I sat with Zac and said, I gave you the bottle weeks ago. Why do you still have the issues? You're clearly not drinking the water every day. And he goes, wait a minute. Are you telling me that if I just drink this water, I can eat whatever I want? I said, yeah, after 2 weeks. You need to drink it properly for 2 weeks to get your restoration of your intestinal tract. We need the bacteria in there. And then you can eat whatever the heck you want. So we sat for an hour and a half one day, and I just went over the science and all this, and he goes, wow, this is incredible. It was just him and I. And literally, he said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And then I'll call you in 2 weeks. And I said, okay. He goes off. 2 weeks later, he calls me from the Hamptons. He was in the Hamptons. And he says, hey, Dr. Paul, I just finished eating food I haven't been able to eat in 10 years, and I feel great. He goes, I love you. I love your water. And you can tell anyone you want. I love you and I love your water. You have my permission for the remainder of my life in your life. Tell everybody I love your water. And he goes, anytime you ever need any help, anything you ever need, let me know. But that's what I want for everyone. I want everyone to accomplish their divine potential. And it's not possible without having hydrogen production in the body. So we have, go ahead.
I was just going to say, with that said, because it's almost time to wrap up, can you please let our listeners know where they can find Echo Water and how they can, keep in touch with you?
Yes. Echowater.com. So ECHO water.com is where you would purchase this beautiful thing and other products. So we have whole house filtration. We have under sink reverse osmosis systems that also put hydrogen in the water. So I would say to people, this is great for skeptical people and people that travel. And this allows you to make the water while on the go. And all you're doing is charging it right there with the USB-C and putting pure water in. You can't put tap water in it. There's no filter in here for contaminants. Please put purified water. The more pure, the better. Put that in there and then just run it. Now, it has an amazing app. So this is app driven. It will track how much water you're drinking, how much hydrogen you're getting. It'll transfer that information to your Apple devices, your Whoop devices, your different digital devices. It'll transfer how much water you're drinking, how much hydrogen you're getting. And so it also, you can set daily goals of at least 3, and it will track that for you and tell you haven't reached your goal today. You haven't, drink more water. And so these are all good things. Now, a lot of people start here, but you're talking about 12 ounces of water. Within 90 days, people are like, wow, I feel incredible. I feel better. My family feels better, but we don't want to wait 5 or 10 minutes for 12 ounces of water. We need to get something that's going to go in our house that's going to make it on demand so we can just go grab water. And so typically people will go get the under sink reverse osmosis, or if they're renting, we have an Echo H2 machine that can go on top of the counter that connects over to their faucet. And that has a filter in it, not as robust as reverse osmosis, but it does have a filter that removes glyphosate, heavy metals, pesticide, all this kind of stuff, microplastics, all this kind of craziness. It will remove it, and then you are drinking the water, and it will have the hydrogen in it. So echowater.com is where they would go to order the products. If people want to look at the studies, they go to hydrogenstudies.com. This is another site I have. There's over 2,000 studies, well over 200 disease models so far. You can type in the disease model, the organ, the condition, whatever, athletes, liver, kidney, whatever you want to do. You can type in nitric oxide, because obviously drinking the water will stimulate one of the types of nitric oxide. There's 3 types. And so understand that you can type in anything and it'll index it to a study. And so athletes love our water. We do have the 49ers, the Raiders, the Dodgers, that their players utilize our system. And then Ronaldo, right? Djokovic, Jake Paul, all these kind of guys, The Rock. Leonardo DiCaprio, all these guys. So they all use the water because they don't feel fatigue. And the reason these sports teams use them is because they have more power and they can go 5 times as long before they fatigue. LeBron James was the latest one who's drinking our drink mix for recovery. This is a wonderful proof and concept, right? So I hope that helps people. If you want to do the research, hydrogenstudies.com with an S. If you want to purchase product, which please do, you have 60 days to return this. We never get them back, but just know you have 60 days to try it. All that's going to happen is you're going to feel amazing and feel better.
Thank you so much. I love that you are encouraging people to do their own research, because that's what we do as well. Don't take our word for it. Do your own research. Yeah. And I'm fascinated. I have a million other questions I could talk to you forever about, but we're going to move on. So we're going to wrap up. We will have all of those links in our show notes. And we appreciate you coming on, Dr. Paul. Thank you for spending some time with us today and helping us learn a little bit more about hydrogen water and the role that hydrogen plays in our bodies. I learned a lot today. We wanted to thank you for being here, and we want to thank our audience for joining us. If this conversation intrigued you or was helpful or informative, please like, subscribe, share with your friends or family, anybody who you think might be in need of this. And you can also find us on at autoimmuneadventures.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, The Scenic Route. And always remember, you are worthy of joy. Disease does not define your life. You do.